I want to know what kind of guy orders tonic water at a bar.
A good Baptist.
Cheers. Oh, we didn't know the priest could talk about sex.
What did a priest know about sex?
Cheers.
So we're here at a bar, and when I grew up, no, that wouldn't happen.
So what do we do with people who say, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious?
Is that Kabbalah?
No.
You actually sleep with a rabbi.
I sleep with her.
Your wife is a rabbi.
Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? You know, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So what is your
Well,
peace
I always
then?
say that you guys took Satan from us.
I don't know who it was that said, no, I won't go over there. I won't talk to those people because they're all a bunch of hypocrites. Well, guess what? We've got room for one more.
Maybe same time next week?
The next time he'll get a more manly drink.
All right, welcome to, give it up to Sometimes Random, Occasionally, every once in a while, more times than not, Pastors Blog, our 100th episode. We're learning, we sure haven't figured it out, but we wanted to invite you into our home and meet our family and meet some of our friends and just kind of see how we do life. And here we're celebrating. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And not only subscribe, but send to one of your friends. Ask them, if 2 of your friends, maybe even 3 of your friends, and have them subscribe as well. We're trying to get to that next level. Well, I have one of my friends here with me. I have Rabbi Andrew Jacobs with me, and it is an honor. Can you guys welcome him?
It's an honor to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. You were here not too long ago. We were shooting, we're still working, kind of trying to figure out how to do this. And really what we're trying to accomplish is to challenge people to think, get 3 different perspectives, a rabbi, a pastor, and a priest. Of course, our priest let us down today. He's... No, he had ministry that he actually had to do. But I thought we might talk about a few of the things that we kind of talk about on the show. One of them being, it is a Sunday, and for us as Christians, it's the Lord's Day, it's a worship day, a rest day, some people would say. But tell us a little bit about the Sabbath. When does it begin? When does it end? And how do you live it out, I guess would be the right way.
No, that's a great question. The Sabbath, or what we call Shabbat, is the 7th day of our week. So we see Sunday as the first day. In fact, if we were in Israel, it'd be a school day today. It'd be a work day. Sunday's a work day in Israel. So as the sun goes down on Friday night, that's when the Sabbath begins. And there's about 25 hours of time until the sun goes down. Not just the sun goes down on Saturday, but you have to wait until there are 3 stars in the sky. And at that point, the Sabbath comes to an end with a ceremony called Havdalah, which is the separation from that holy day of rest. In the most traditional form, you're not supposed to do any type of work, which in ancient times was all related to the construction of the ancient temple. So no building, no laboring, nothing that would cause you to have to worry about anything but being grateful and being with the people that you love. As a contemporary rabbi, I know that most of the members of my community struggle with that. And so what I always say is, if you can't give yourself the 25 hours, which is a lot of time, I understand, at least find 10 minutes to grab a good book and curl up on the couch and rest. Ideally more than 10 minutes. Goodness knows we all run around too much in life, and we don't get enough time just to be grateful and relax. So
if you guys go into Shabbat, is that what be close enough in that? And with a meal, Is it right? And
Yep.
then you end it with what would I didn't.
So there's 3 meals really that are part of, or that are ritually involved with the Sabbath. There's the Friday night dinner. There's a big lunch, or that would say follow the services on Saturday morning, and then a little afternoon snack. And then at the end, as the sun goes down and those stars come out, we do 3 things. We say blessing over the wine, which, like for you guys, is a symbol of joy in life. We say the blessing over some spices, which symbolize the beauty of the day. And then we have what's called a Havdalah candle. When the sun goes down on Friday, we light 2 candles that are separate and distinct. But at the end of Shabbat, we light a candle. It's kind of a braided, multi-wicked candle.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I always say that it's like the rest of the Sabbath has brought the 2 candles together, just like internally and with the people that we love. And so we light that candle to symbolize the unity that hopefully will bring into the new week and will carry us until the next Sabbath. So
That's interesting. Let me encourage you, if you're there in the chat, what do you do to withdraw? Is there a specific day in which you choose to withdraw, to reflect, to refocus? You know, in the Old Testament, God gave us a rhythm, right? Work 6, rest 1,
That's
work
right.
6. And I was sharing earlier with Jay that in the New Testament, in the translation, the Message, there's a scripture where Jesus says, come unto me, all you who are tired, and he says, I'll give you rest. I'll teach you the unforced rhythms of grace. And there is a rhythm to life that when we get in a hurry, I think that we miss sometimes.
That's right. There's a tradition that we just finished in Judaism from from Passover until the holiday of Shavuot, which I think you guys refer to as it's the holiday where we receive the 10 Commandments. But there's I'm blanking on the
Yeah, I don't know. Is anybody?
Pentecost?
Pentecost?
Pentecost.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of similarities between the 2 holidays. But from Passover until Shavuot, we count every single day. And the teaching there at night, you literally say, today is the first day, today is the second day, to remind ourselves that each day matters. Each day counts. A wonderful woman who has the gym, I think that was in some ways your message. Yep. And it's very, very similar. Every day matters, and you were talking about perseverance too. It's so easy to say, I'm not going to count. I just can't. You can't. You can't throw in the towel. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. You got to climb that mountain and get to the top and find the lessons and the wisdom that's up there. So.
Now, what is that tradition called?
It's called counting the Omer. Or
how you spell that word?
O-M-E-R. Omer. It comes from an agricultural term. It's actually, if you look in the Torah, in the Old Testament, you'll see it mentions that they used to count the bundles of grain in between that time, and there was an ancient grain festival, but then it became linked to the day that supposedly Moses went up Mount Sinai and got those 10 Commandments. So
that's a great thought. Make every day count. And let me ask you to challenge us with one other idea is when it comes to withdrawal. I think, you know, as Christians, we think about the Sabbath really as going to church. That's what's, I think a lot of Christ followers would tie. And then when we think about the Sabbath, we do think about what the Scripture has to say about how people celebrated the Sabbath. And we tend to think of, you know, as a Christian, we often think of legalism as opposed to seeing it in a positive sense. We tend to see, you know, all the rules. I remember when we've only been to Israel once, but there we got there on Sabbath, and there was 2 elevators, and
That's right.
you know, one that stopped at every floor, and one that you could actually push the buttons on.
Right.
So, you know, there's that aspect of it. But what are some thoughts? You know, God. This is a thing that God gave all of us. This idea of rhythm and rest, and I mean. How do we live that out in a consistent, not when we have time, but making a commitment to God that we're going to we are going to add rhythm to our life. I mean, what are some things that you would maybe encourage us to do?
Well, I think we live in a society where the pressure is on us to constantly be doing. If you're not doing, too many people think of themselves as being lazy. And my wife is here, and she'll often say, I have a hard time if I'm not doing. But the fact is if you look to the very beginning of Genesis, God himself did a lot of work for 6 days, and then in order to keep going, needed to take that day of rest. If we can't learn from that, unfortunately, that's what causes burnout. That's what causes people to lose the charge in their batteries. We need to learn how not to do, and how, the root of the word for God in Hebrew is really the word to be. If we can't just be, that's a problem. And so we've really got to learn to step back, catch our breath, really feel that breath, that is the rhythm that you're talking about, and be. And that's the best way to appreciate the divine spark of God that's inside of each of us. As you said, we all received the gift. So
that's good. And I want to encourage anybody that's watching, and I don't know when you're watching. You may be watching the rebroadcast. You may be watching and say, is he ever going to shut up? It's been over 100 minutes. But if there's nothing else that you grab from our vlog, and that's one of the things I think we really try to live out and invite you into, is that idea. I think that's beautiful to be, not to be afraid of who you are, not to be afraid of slowing down enough to be confronted by that.
Yeah, and for some of us, that's going to a house of worship. For some of us, that's studying Scripture. I think there's one simple thing that we can all do, which is to dare ourselves to go off the grid on the Sabbath, unplug and just be.
Rabbi, we're celebrating our 100th
but that's right.
Of the internet, and you're challenging our people
except to watch Pastor Troy Gramling's blog. That is a Jewish law in the Torah.
I was with you until.
That's right. Sorry.
Oh, I thought you probably could help us out. Again, I don't know when you're going to watch this, but I taught on Moses today, and spent a lot of time on his excuses for why he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm sure you know a lot more about him than I do. What's maybe a few things about let's do it this way. First of all, what's a few things about Moses maybe we wouldn't know?
So I don't know if you know from your studies that Moses had a speech impediment, is what we're taught. And to me, he's a great role model for anybody who has a physical challenge that they struggle with in life. Moses becomes one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Jewish leader. He overcomes that. But he's also very human. And we've all been in that situation where we know we have to do something and we look for every way out. But God teaches him that lesson of persistence. It doesn't really give him a choice.
Right.
So I think that between overcoming that challenge of his and learning to, even though he wanted to on many occasions, not throw in the towel, those are great examples of things that we can put into our lives.
Yes, as someone who's not a Hebrew, you guys gave him a really hard time.
Oh, yeah. Imagine what it's like to be a rabbi today. I see a lot of Moses' frustrations.
And we talked about both of those things. We talked about perseverance. And you know what? The New Testament in Acts 7, and I kind of started here, says that Moses was great in speech, was powerful in speech and action. And it's interesting, when you realize that what the Scripture said about him, with that, challenge that he had in his speaking.
He also learns, and anybody who's a leader of anything can really learn from Moses. He does get to that burnout place, and he goes to his father-in-law, Jethro, and Jethro says to him, you got to delegate. Yeah. If you don't delegate, you're not going to succeed. And so we watch him learn how to work with his brother Aaron and create the judges and create a real communal system, which is a really important lesson for any leader out there.
Yeah, so. It's an incredible study. Maybe we can get to, that might be something we could do together sometime.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
And you could come here and help me teach it, and then
love it.
I could come there and help you help you teach it. That would be good. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, congratulations! Coming. Congratulations! It's an honor.
Rabbi is married to a rabbi. You said
right.
that your wife was here, and just an incredible family. I've got to spend a lot of time. I remember the first time you guys came and we talked, and it's been a real learning opportunity for me. And I want to encourage, again, no matter when you're watching or where you're watching, not to be afraid to step outside of the comfort zones that you have in life, to not be afraid. Truth is truth, and it's important to be able to step outside, see new things, go to new places, experience. It's a big world that God has created. All right, so again, I want to thank the rabbi, and I wanted to before we go, there are some things coming up this week. I know we probably went over 100 minutes. I do apologize. We may broadcast it in 2 separate shows, but there are some things coming up this week that we didn't have time to put into this 100 minutes. Isn't that right, Pastor Erdis? All right. And so let me show you a few of the exciting things coming up this week on the Random Occasionally. Every once in a while, more times than not, Pastor's Vlog.